think that what you're seeing now, it's taken 20 years or at least 15 since the internet came along for the mainstream media to realize, oh, this is important. Something people want to do, and you are starting to see some of the traditional media begin to adopt. Is that comments on stories? I mean, this is not a radical idea. Discussion boards. We had discussion boards before we had the internet. And realizing that in this media environment, you can't just be a one-way communicator. You have to be a platform for conversation as well. And as somebody else said, the conversations are going to happen whether you're part of them or not, whether they occur on your site or not. I think it's also clear that the traditional media, are really stumbling through this, and non-traditional media, new sites, startups, new ventures of various kinds, from get it a lot more easily. And I'm not entirely sure that the traditional media, if you ask me, I'm fairly pessimistic that most of the traditional media will make the adaptation. And I worry, in a political culture, how fragmented do we get, as the traditional media shrink, and what are the negative consequences to the society if we don't have at some point a consensus that can build through a large channel, and I don't know how we get there. I think that's the one outcome of what we look at right now is the ever fragmenting world to the point where people talk only to one another, and there isn't one people who already share their points of view, and if there isn't a mass media left, and we seem to be moving that direction, how do we develop consensus, to take action in a democratic society?
See, I totally disagree with that. I think the big story of this election is the fact that mainstream media has gotten it and has actually seized a lot of the political voice power away from the so-called grassroots. And so I think actually that you see this kind of third space of not really blogs, but with the kind of credentials of a big news organization, really taking a lot of the air out of the big bloggers that we were so crazy about in the 2004 cycle, right? The Daily Kosses and the Red States, these big grassroots-driven blogs. So I actually think the media has done a great job adjusting. I do think, to your point though, there is an echo chamber effect, which is that Jake Tapper might break something on ABC News, supporters and commenters will read that, they'll escalate it down another level from there, less read blogs, and you get kind of a message cascade that actually is, I think, pretty consensus building, because it still comes from, Jake Tapper at ABC News, who blogs it. Where does he get his information from? I'll never forget when I was covering the New Hampshire debate, the Facebook debate, when you watch reporters now do stand-ups during a debate or an event, they'll often, if you guys seen this, they'll have their BlackBerry in their hand. So, Phil Singer or someone on the Hillary campaign is emailing them talking points, and then you've got Jake Tapper saying, well, just in for the Hillary campaign on my BlackBerry, he's beaming it out on ABC News, he's blogging it, and it's cascading down. So, in an interesting way, I think we're kind of at a crossroads here.
It is important, sort of this third sphere that Maura's talking about, where the supposedly, you can argue whether the media can really be unbiased, but a sort of more intellectual, fact-based, nonpartisan media is doing quick reporting and the more in-depth reporting that the bloggers have been able to provide, so that both sides are kind of being led somewhat by that that media, and are kind of forced to, especially the independent-minded thinkers are getting both sides. Like there's not just these channels on the right and channels on the left, your libertarian or whatever, Green Party this, but it's more of a news type media, and I think that sort of is important, and it is encouraging to see that they've made those that mainstream media has made those steps in the cycle.